Karibu sana Bwana Juliet.
Asante sana. I'm not Juliet, I'm Aliet.
Aliet.
Thank you very much. Ni kwa heshima kuu today.
Yes.
At least umepata another opportunity tuweze kuongea kama family.
Right.
Of course, at personal level, I really appreciate the effort of the fourth estate, what you are doing. And God willing, I think that with the government and the blessing of the general public, it will be viable in the near future. Tuweze kuwa na mkakati hata kama itakuwa on our penal code. The social media unit pia wawe recognized as part of a biggest fabric in this society. Now, today I have quite a range of issues I want to discuss, but then I'm duty bound to start by the education, because I've had a senior member here giving information. It is like either he's living in mass, he's not done research, or by extension, I fail to get where I can classify him. Because if somebody says that the government is not factoring money for the education, that information, one, is far-fetched. It is an information that can only be given by a PP1 kid. Why am I saying that? I want you to understand from the word go. The free primary education came with Mheshimiwa Kibaki from 2003. Mheshimiwa Kibaki was not delivering on secondary education. Let it be very clear that far. When Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta came by, he did talk about free primary and free secondary school. But then per se, it wasn't free secondary education. It was a subsidized education setup. Now, and that one evolved up to this point in time. Now, what has come up? Because the beauty of our society is when information is given out, people pick it immediately. But now, what is apparent that people should know is the viability or the facts within the information given out. Let me put it very straight. The capitation fee of our schools has not been withdrawn by the Ruto's government. What has happened so far? With the capitation setup, the secondary education was pegged at 22,000 per kid. The junior schools were pegged at 15,000 shillings. The lower primary were pegged at 1,500 shillings. Now, what has transpired today? With the budgetary allocation that was read by Mbadi, if at all you know how the procedure involved for a budget to be read, it has equally, the sessional paper is drawn by the cabinet. Then it is taken to the National Assembly. They ratify and give it back, give it the validity so that it can be read. What happened then? When Mheshimiwa Mbadi in his docket, they did give the National Assembly the allocation for the capitation of schools. They downsized it from 22, computed to come to 16,000 plus not, being rounded to be 17,000. I want it to be very clear. So as much, what has happened so far is that based on what the National Assembly did do, after reducing that budget, that's what made the Ministry of Finance, Mbadi was giving it yesterday, that with this, we cannot afford to because you can never release the money you don't have. Can you budget with what you don't have? You can't. So, in a nutshell, what is apparent here is that the capitation is now going to be pegged at 16,000 plus the variation that is bringing to 17,000 per kid. That's for the secondary, but it is not withdrawn holistically. Now, what is probably going to happen? What is probably going to happen, if at all the citizenry proves that it has to go back to the 22,000, then it is going to force the National Assembly from the cabinet to request for a supplementary budget on the capitation fees so that they bridge the gap to come back to 22,000 per kid. So I want it to be very clear. Per capitation fee is not being withdrawn in totality. Let us be clear up to that point. And in fact, if you can go and check, it is only that we talk a lot and we do nothing. If you go and check, you realize with the budgetary allocation, the budget that was read by Mheshimiwa Mbadi, education has been given a lot of money to a tune of 20 what? 28% of the total budget, education. So, with the Kenyans, we need to be very realistic. What I know has been withdrawn is the exam fee for the student. That one is withdrawn. And if you ask me, for the government to streamline their budget, there are things they have to go away with. Like, you realize our discipline forces, the KDF, were given, they were doing their expenditure at AFCO. Really, the government cannot factor for their meal and they are getting salaries. And you get somebody who is not even had somebody from the family who is a watchman trying to complain that why is it withdrawn, without knowing some of these expenditures are what is making us to go sick. So with education, I think we need to rest it there. Then at the same time, you get some people saying that with the help loan is withdrawn the moment they change it to the new model. Huh? Are you getting that? It is not holistically withdrawn. What these people are doing is to do ratification. Like initially with the help, a student goes to Uma University, a student goes to Methodist University. These are private universities. But at the end of the day, they bill the government. For what? For the loan. A student who is able to go to a private university, really, like as we are talking now, Uma University claims a debt from the government of 1.1 billion. You go to Methodist, they claim around what? Around 5 billion. That is a loan. They expect the government to pay through help. So what is the government is simply trying to streamline. If you come from a family who's able to pay, you should not compete for the minimal resources that we have around with a family who's not able to pay. That's the rationale of how things works. And now, there's this other quarter, you get people saying that Kibaki government was better. Ruto's government is not better. Let me tell you, gentlemen, however much we might not directly feel it in our pockets, but it makes sense. Kibaki government came from the Moi's government. For those who are there, you'll know Moi ran this government over 10 years without donor funding. And so when Kibaki took it, we didn't have debts. We didn't have debts. We were not loaned. And when Kibaki took it, Kibaki left us with a debt of 1.8 billion. 1.8 trillion, I mean. Then Uhuru left it the other day at 8.9 trillion. As that we are talking now, the government is servicing loan interest at 1.1 trillion per year. So relatively, you realize the way the government is overstrained, there are one or two things that must be done what? Balanced. And there are things we are assuming, like this issue of the capitation fee. The minister concerned did try to challenge the what? The National Assembly. Can we do away with this nonsensical what? Bursaries. What we do, you allow us to take some little money, we put directly to the capitation fee, so that at the end of the day, this target can be brought back to 22,000 per kid. Because holistically, even the bursary is given in a favoritism manner. But if it is in the capitation project, there's no kid who is left out. So what I'm saying, as a people, let us do our due diligence and learn some of these things. Because if we are going to listen to even somebody who cannot listen to himself, talking around simply because there's that platform of talking. At this point in now, we are talking now. We don't even have a crisis. Because even the pending bills like of the pensions are done. To an extent, even the big institutions like IMF are now trying to appreciate the Kenya government of the much they've done. So we don't have issues with the debts. Now, let me move away from education.
Come to politics.
Let me move away from the education. Yeah. What I can tell you, gentlemen, Kenya, we are in the right trajectory. And I thank God, Kenyans, we always flash back once we've gone ahead. Like now, you realize Ruto is a nobody in the sphere. But once Ruto's gone, that's the time we'll realize the impact of Mheshimiwa Ruto, based on how he does things. Like now, as that we are talking now. Hey, like as that we are talking now, you realize we don't have some of these areas. Aziko, the guy is top notch on vitu zake. So at the end of the day, tukiendelea kufanya vitu zetu vile tunaendelea, I think we are going to the right way. Now, tukirudi nyuma, kuna hii kitu ilikuwa inaitwa intergeneration what? Conclave. We like it or we don't. As long as Raila is still alive, he's still going to give direction. You can never wish him away. Because most of these deliberations, you castigate Raila for the discussions, but globally it's recognized. So, for now, at one point, let's say for example, truly Kenyans are saying there's a problem. Where do they take these problems? Where are they going to take it? Today, which is the platform you can have to engage Ruto directly, so that these issues can be sorted out, if not a discussion. So we need to appreciate some of these things. However, we are political, but tunasema give what is due to Kaisa, ya Mungu mpe Mungu. Tukienda that route tunasaidiana. On issue of whether the regime is not going to be with the ODM, I told you several times, forget about that. Forget about that. What is very clear is that Raila Amolo Odinga wanted to be the president, but at the end of the day, his son Mheshimiwa Ruto has become the president. So I wanted to be an accountant, and it happens by coincidentally. Sikukuwa accountant, na mtoto wangu amekuwa accountant. Narudi shule. Siwezi wacha ile dream yangu ibebwe na mtoto. So some of these things, let us be very honest and articulate things the way they should be. Tukienda that route, I think tunasaidiana. Over issue of what Mheshimiwa Sifuna is saying. Yes. Mheshimiwa Sifuna tusimweke sana